Hey there guys, TC made with TC Gaming. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to start on this series for the Action RPG Revisited using 5.4.3 because we have a little bit more technology available to us now and things that we can improve upon from our last experiences with this. We'll go ahead and get right into it. This is going to be using Synty Polygon assets. I've been a big fan of them, and I think that you can do a lot of cool stuff with this type of game for low poly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my folder. I downloaded my Elven Realms Dungeon Unreal versions from the market earlier, and they're in these folders here. So what I'm going to do is go to the Polygon Dungeon folder. I'm going to draw all the way down into content, right-click on Polygon Dungeons, and just hit copy. I'm going to go to my Action RPG and hit content, right-click, and paste to bring in the assets there. And then we'll do the same thing for Polygon Elven Realm. We'll drill down into content, grab the Polygon Elven folder, copy that, paste it into our content folder of the RPG. So paste that in, and that will give us some assets that we can play around with. Now, if you look in the assets here for this, the Polygon Dungeon, make sure I got all this in here. Polygon Dungeons came in. Where is the one for my Elven Realms? It doesn't look like it came over. Or did I put it in the wrong spot? Oh no, let's try that again. I must have missed something there. With the downloads, Polygon Elven Realms, content, right click copy, and Action RPG, content. This is in here, Polygon Elven. I wonder if I put it in something else here by accident. I'll go back and check that. But anyway, it should be out here now. We have both of those folders. Maybe I'll watch the video and see where I put the other one. Long story short, Polygon Dungeons. We go down here to meshes and look at our characters. We have a lot of fun characters in here, like little goblins, and we have characters in here for skeletons and things like that. We've got a couple of knights and some other characters there. And then if we look at the, for the Elven series, the Polygon Elven, we go down here to models, and in here they have the characters folder. This is the old format that they used, and in this older format, I think that they pretty much had everything was tied to this character knight skeleton, I believe. If you go with any of these, if I right-click and say skeleton, find skeleton, looks like they all go to the character male knight skeleton. Commoner, skeleton, find skeleton, goes to the character knight male. And then if you look in this, they also have a new characters folder. So if I right-click on here and say skeleton, find skeleton, this one actually goes to a UE4 mannequin that's down underneath of the epic content folder. So this is going to be more in line with, in most cases, with the newer version of Unreal Engine, and probably could make this very simple for us because we might not have to retarget a lot of stuff. So let's go find out first if we can do just a straight up compatibility mode with this. So what I'm going to do is now that we found the skeleton for our new characters, I'm going to double left click on this, and I'm going to go into the window, asset details, and I'm going to look for compatible skeletons, and I'm going to go to compatible skeletons and drop this down. And what we're looking for is the mannequin that comes with the Barbarous demo. So right here is game characters, mannequins, meshes. So that is one of them. That's the Harlequin sample. Here's mannequin from game characters. And if you look at the bottom, it says M Barbarous on there. So this is the one that we want here to make that compatible. And we're going to go ahead and say save that. And now I can go to preview animations, and you can see right away that all the animations populate onto this because it's listed as compatible. So let's do an axe attack. Looks like that would work. We can go to the hammer attack. Looks like that would work. I'll go down here and get some other ones. Fireball. Looks like that would work. Looks like his fingers are a little jacked up there, but it's because the barbarous character has a different set of hand setups than what this does. So we could probably fix that by actually using a retargeter, and maybe we'll go that way. But if we didn't have that issue, we could just pop it right in here probably and use it the way that it is. I'm actually going to go and look at the retargeting piece of it. So let's go back in here, and just for the fun of it, we're going to go back to asset, compatible, or window asset details, and we're going to strip that compatible skeleton feature, and we're just going to actually retarget everything. No animations now other than the third person animations that came with the Synty packer are now available to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and create a retarget for our barbarous character. We're going to go into characters and barbarous down here. And he has animations. If we go up to the top of the characters folder, there's an ABP player. We're going to right click on this and go to retarget animations. And for our target skeletal mesh, we're going to go down here and look at polygon, elven meshes or models rather, and then new characters. And let's get the character for the knight male. And we should be able to bring that over here. So actually, since it's highlighted, I should just be able to click it and bring it right in. And you'll see that it looks like it's already put their arms in a similar position because the new Unreal Engine version has the auto alignment tool, auto generate retargeter tool here. And you'll see that there's probably going to be some little issues, but let's just go ahead and try it. The axe attack would work. The hammer would work. Looks like everything's pretty good there. Yep. So the animations look like they're pretty decent. So we'll try it. Let's take all these. We're going to highlight the first one. We're going to scroll down and shift select the very last one. So we have all the animations in there. And we're going to say export animations. And I'm going to pick the Polygon Elven folder, right click it and say new folder, and call this RT_anims, which for me just means retargeted animals for this particular kit. And I could have several RT anims folders as subfolders to whatever they're going to. So here's my RT anims. I'm not going to prefix these because if you prefix them, they won't show up in the list of things that we need to use to replace these later. So a good rule of thumb is put them in a separate folder where you can identify that they're in the right spot, but do not prefix these things or suffix them because it'll change how easy it is to modify this. We're going to go ahead and say export and include referenced assets, and this will stick everything in this RT anims folder. We're going to do a save all, save selected, and save the entire package. Now, again, I've already gone through some of these, but I can click this, and show that this is working or whatever. No big deal. Now, what I want to do is go into the BP player character, and you have to use BP player character for this. You cannot duplicate this and rename it, because in this particular project, there are a lot of references to BP player character. If you were going to, for whatever reason, change it to some other BP name, you would actually have to duplicate this, modify it the way you want to, and then delete this one and replace all the references to this blueprint in the updated name of your new one. We're not going to do that, though. We're just going to go right to BP player character. Actually, before we do that, let's go back to our RT anims. We want to make things easy for ourselves. So let's go back to the Polygon Elven RT anims folder, which is right here. And this ABP player, animation blueprint player for the thing, I'm going to just prefix this internally with Synty Knight. Actually, in this case, it's a common skeleton, so I'll just call it Synty player. And that's going to be the animation blueprint for the ABP Synty player. Now I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go down to the mesh for the player character. I'm going to go over to where it says barbarous. I'm going to just type in knight. And now remember, there's two of them. There's a skeleton knight male. If you look at this one here, this is under Game Polygon Elven Models Characters. If I look at this one, this is under Polygon Elven Epic Content Mannequin Character Mesh UE4 Mannequins. I wonder which one of these. Oh, at the top it says the path is actually new _ characters. The other one says that it's just Elven Models Characters. So we want the one that is under the new characters because that's what we retargeted the anims onto. And we're going to take the ABP and switch that from ABP to ABP Synty Player. We're going to compile this, hit play over here. And what we should have is, we should have a character that doesn't have any of the weapons actually attached to any sockets or anything, because we didn't move those yet. But the animations should play for the basic part of this. So we'll hit play, and we'll go in here, and we'll do some swinging. And you can see that all of our animations look like they're pretty good. Okay. Now, we don't have any weapons in our hand, though. So what we want to do is we want to go and locate the skeleton that we had for the Barbarous character. And we can do that by going back up here to Characters, Barbarous, right-click on his mesh and say Skeleton, Find Skeleton. And then we're going to open that skeleton. And what we want to do in here is we want to transfer any of these sockets, these weapon sockets and hand sockets and everything, over to our Synty player. And the way to do this, the easy way, is we're going to pop this up here. We're going to go to our meshes for the Synty players. Again, we're under the Polygon Elven models, new characters. Right-click on the character, skeleton, find skeleton. We're going to populate that up here, or pop this up into here. And what we want to do is we want to go to the mannequin skeleton for our character that has the assets that we need. We're going to hit this little drop down over here and just say hide bones. And what that's going to do is it's going to leave all the sockets there. There's only these couple. So what we're going to do is highlight those 3 sockets. We're going to right click and say copy selected sockets and go to our UE4 mannequin skeleton. We're just going to go up here and right click on the root and say paste sockets. We want to say paste sockets and not paste sockets to selected bone. If you hit paste sockets to selected bone, these are going to be located in the wrong spot. So you just want to go paste sockets. You'll see that they all went down here to the hand R, just like they were over here underneath of hand R. And we can go back now, and what they had done is they had this asset called the Black Knight Blade, which is in his socket here. So we go down here to hand R, and in that weapon, they had it under the hand R socket. So we can go to hand R socket, right click and say add preview asset. And up here you can type in Black Knight Blade. And we just want to make sure that it looks the same as it did over here, which it does. So now we can go back into our Action RPG series project, hit play. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Now we are holding our axe. Our hands are out a little bit because we don't have anything to grip anything, because Barbarous only uses a thumb. But I can swing this now and do damage with it. All right, so that's a good start. I can actually play with the characters here. And we're going to kill this guy here and get through this wave, hopefully. Sometimes these guys are tough. All right, we got him out in there. We got a mega weapon now. And if I hit the space bar, I should do my dive roll. I can cycle between weapons using my mouse just like normal. I can right click to dodge. Put this mega weapon out. These guys will do massive damage. And if I hit the R button, I'm consuming my mana and health potions. In this case, they're all mana potions, it looks like, so I'm not getting any health benefit out of it. If I hit the tab key, it should take me in a pause menu out to the store. And in here, I could actually modify which potions I have. I think that switches it over to health. I can go back and hit R again. Now I'm drinking health potions. Okay. The easy way to switch that, I don't know why they made it so it's just one asset or one potion. In my mind, you should be able to maybe hold down a R key and then rotate that out with using the mouse like we do on here. Like if I held R. But they don't let you do that. So anyway, this is working, and we got our retarget to work there pretty easy now. Some of the stuff that's in here, not 100% sure that it's going to look perfect, but the reason it's working this way is because we're using that new asset, that new skeleton asset. And the benefit of this is that because we have that common skeleton, and it works the same way as the Barbarous skeleton does, the animation montages that are on this character are automatically going to play correctly. If I had used the other Polygon character with the old Polygon skeleton, some of those montages would not have played correctly because the Synty skeleton is not fully compatible with this. I'm going to show you what I mean by that, hopefully by going to the other packet. Now what we're going to do is go to Polygon Dungeons. We'll go to these meshes in here and find a character. We only have the older characters in this. Now they are on one common character, I believe, called Skell Character. You see it in the bottom there. So if I go to Skeleton, find Skeleton, they should all go to Skell Character. And so what we want to do is we want to take one of these from our Polygon Dungeons set, and we're going to do the same thing with the RT Anim Retarget on here. So I'm going to go back to Barbarous. I'm going to find this character and get his animation blueprint. Right click on here and retarget the animations. And I'm going to go now and I'm going to pick one of the other characters. And again, you can do this by just going down into the mesh character folder and highlighting the one that you want. So let's make this something distinct. I'll use the skeleton. That's the physics asset. I'll use the skeleton knight. It says in here skeleton knight. And I will go to the we'll go over here to the retargeter. Where was that? Where we're going to retarget this animation. Thought it popped it up. Maybe it's sitting over here. Here we go. So I can go over here and pull that in, right? And everything looks pretty good, right? All that seems like it'll work. So we're going to try it. I don't know that it's going to work, but we're going to do it. And we're going to same thing. We're going to highlight all these assets by shift selecting and saying export animations. And this time we're going to go to Polygon Dungeons, right click new folder, RT_anims. And we're going to just use that as our export folder and export these out. So if they work the same way, what we should be able to do is also go and get that Skell Knight back over here. Polygon Dungeon characters. We should also be able to take this skeleton and pull it up. Grab this skeleton again, grab these 3 sockets. Right click and copy selected sockets. Back to our character over here. Right click and say paste sockets. Again, they're going to go down to the hand_R. No problem. And then what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll just take a look at what the net result of this is. We'll change out the character mesh here to our skeleton knight, which you can see he's turned black because we've already opened him up. And then we'll want to rename this RT Anims here for the Polygon Dungeons. I'm going to call this Synty. I'm going to call it Synty Dungeons player. So we know it's a little bit different than the other one. I should have called that Elven player maybe. Excuse me. We'll go up here and we'll look for ABP Synty Dungeons player and compile that. And then the viewport, everything looks cool. You know, we got our sockets on there and everything. So you would think that this will just work, and it's possible that it will, but in my experience, it's not going to work the way that we want it to. And we'll see if I'm still right. Let's see. So I'm Alt-P to play that. Skip here. And number 1, the socket needs to be rotated. But number 2, you see how when I go to play that montage, I disappear down into the ground? Right? You see how he's just not there? So the reason is because the rotations of the Synty bones in those older characters are different than the rotations of the newer ones, where they've actually gone through and tried to correct the bone rotations. It's a combination, I believe, of things where they used the skeleton for possibly used it for Unity and renamed it for Unreal Engine, or that they're using different software to rig the characters and build them in the first place, and the rotations are different between the software that's used by Unreal or Epic versus, you know, the one that they use. But whatever it is, they're working on correcting it, and hopefully it gets done soon, because this would all go so much quicker. As you see with the first one, I just boom, boom, and done. With the older ones, you have to go through a little bit of minutia to get it to work. So the first thing we can do, as we did a moment ago, I can right-click on this and should be able to say skeleton, find skeleton. It's going to get us back down here to our skull character. And what I'll do is I'll change the preview mesh to be the skeleton knight. I'll change it to be this guy, and then we'll go to the hand R socket, right click and say add preview asset. And again, this was called the black blade, and you can see in here that that's upside down. Usually you could just grab this and rotate this 90 degrees and it would fix that. Or 180 degrees, I'm sorry, in this case. So yeah, 0 to 180. But you can see that it's still off some because it's sitting above the hand. So you're going to have to take this and kind of reposition where this would be if his hand were closed. And the way that you can do that if you want to is you can go in here and say preview animation and say attack with the sword. Okay, and then you can go over here and pause that and take a look at how his bone rotation is with the weapon. So in this case here, this rotation should actually have been maybe more like that. And we'll see how that looks. Play. All right, so for the most part, I mean, this would pass the test, right? Now, I believe the axe and everything attaches to the same socket. So let's go back into the action RPG and play. And now you can see his axe is oriented properly and he can swing, but again, we're disappearing into the ground. Oh my goodness, what's happening? Right? So the reason this is happening is because the attack that he's playing is using a montage that is embedded inside of the action. So we're going to look for an attack. And what we want to do is go up here to content and just type in attack. And I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. There's a couple of different icons that come up for attacks. So there's one here's attack damage. Here's an attack. This should be a blueprint for a behavior tree task, I believe. Here's attack skill. There's a weapon attack. Let me see if we go down. Shouldn't matter if I'm at that root level. There should have been one called GA. Gameplay ability attack. Let's go to GA attack. Here's the GE or GA attack. Usually there's a gameplay ability and a gameplay effect. In this case, everything is some form of gameplay ability or whatever. So let's see it in here. Here's the sword frontal. So one of the ways you can find these is potentially inside of the player character. You can go to do melee attack. Current weapon slot. Let's go to event graph. Input action normal attack. Let's go ahead and pause this, or toggle it, I mean, and see if it steps us through anything that we can locate that. So when I hit the left mouse button, that's my input for the normal attack. I'm going to hit the F11 key to step through this. So it goes to do melee attack. This is going to go into the BP player character do melee attack function. Now it's going into the can use ability. Is using skill. What's that say back here? Ability.skill. It's called. Make sure he's alive, I guess. Having health. Get abilities with tags. Activate the item slot. Active ability. Here's a montage. Montage to play. Montage to play is a variable that's not populated. Let's go in here and say find results for attack. Oops. Go for montage. couple different montage events in here. And already there. Montage. Gotta find the action component that's on this. Is there ability system component? Go for class settings. Character. Again, I could probably even go back to my old videos and find all this stuff in a matter of minutes, but that's not the case here. We were looking for abilities. And here's abilities for the player with an axe. And here's the GA player axe melee. Okay, so here's the axe attack that's embedded inside of this gameplay. Oh, I see. I was looking for attack. It's actually called player axe melee. That's why I didn't find it. So what's happening is this montage, which is kind of probably hard to see on the screen, if I go to find this in the folder, it's actually going to take me into the one that's targeted to the barbarous character. And since they have different skeletons, when we try and play it on the Synty character, it doesn't behave properly. So all we need to do is go to GA Player Axe Melee. And this is why I said not to rename these earlier. When I hit this drop down, I'm going to see one right next to it that says AM Attack Axe, just like this one. But you can see that the character is the elven character from our RT Anims thing. That's the montage we made earlier. Or, again, that one was okay. There should be another one for the AM attack montage. This is the one that goes to the Polygon Dungeon RT Anims, and we can use that one because this is the character we're actually using now. He's the one that has the problem. The other one I don't have to worry about. Now, the overall takeaway on this is 2 different Synty Polygon packs are going to conflict with each other depending on what skeleton you're using. So sometimes what you can do, or what I've done in the past, is I have a vanilla skeleton for Synty, and you might be able to do the same thing, take the one that works easily, and see if you can retarget the mesh onto the skeleton, and see if it works. If it doesn't work, sometimes you can still modify the animations and stuff, but the mesh is not going to change over, so it's just kind of, you might have to set it up for each one and then swap it out. And in other words, you might have to have a GA player montage set up for the one pack that you're using. And if you're using multiple packs with the same characters, or multiple packs with different characters, I should say, you might have to have different gameplay, player ability acts, things in there. Or you might be able to take this montage to play and put that into a variable, and you can just swap it out in here. There might, there's a montage to play, right? Set montage to play, and you can select an asset for this. So there's 3 different ones to pick from. And you could probably, I don't know if there's an overridable function in here, but you could probably set this variable inside of this blueprint, and maybe switch which one it is based on some other variable. I'd have to look into that. I'm spitballing here. But, these are all different variables and everything, so there's a possibility we could do it that way. What I'm doing in the meantime, though, is I'm just going to switch this one for the exact character that we're using. And probably if you go in here to the class defaults, that's where you're going to see that montage to play. So I imagine that this is a variable, but I'd have to really dig into that to check if the montage to play actually affects this. So we're going to go back to our action RPG and hit play. And now that I've modified that axe, oh, I have that stop in the background. Hold on. It did what I asked it to do. It stopped here. I used this breakpoint just to find out what montages were being played or to get through the gameplay abilities. Didn't matter anyway. Didn't work because it was embedded in the thing I wasn't even looking for. But anyway, now I should be able to play this, and that attack montage where I do the ground pound and all that other stuff will work. And even when I dive roll, that should work. And the only thing we'd have to correct here is how our hands look. And on this one, they're really not that bad, but see how they're just kind of sticking out a little bit? So the way to fix that, if we were going to retarget all these anims again, if you really wanted to get down into that, what I believe you should be able to do is all the way back to when we went up here and we said for the player's character, whatever, when we went to do this retarget. And we went over and we picked our skeleton knight. I'm just going to show you what I think would fix this. Character skeleton knight. We're auto-generating a retargeter here, right? But what we could do is we could pick a montage or anything like that in here and do what's called export retarget assets. So I don't really want to, I don't need any of these things. What I want to do is say export retarget assets, and then I'm going to say this goes to the Polygon dungeon set. So I'll right click, new folder, RT_assets. And when I create this is going to give me the auto-generated rigs and the retargeter that are in here. So what's happening is this rig is going to have only bones on it that match the character setup, right? So you look in here, you don't see anything other than, whatever hands or fingers they have or whatever. So that's got a body IK on it. But if you look at his hand, see how index 01 is mapped to left index, but there's really no hand, no item there. So they're grayed out. But he does have a left hand, and he does have a right hand. But he doesn't have any fingers or anything like that. So does he have a thumb? I thought he had a thumb. No, his thumb's grayed out too. So no thumb for this guy, just the hand. And what you might be able to do to correct this is what I was saying earlier, is to take everywhere that he has bone names that don't really have bones for them. You might be able to say that his left thumb is actually mapped to hand L. You know what I mean? So that whenever whatever the hand does, it would end up doing it on the fingers. Now this one here, it should work fine. What you might have to do is do it on the one for the Synty character. To say over this one. See, this one here only pulled over the right thumb and the left thumb. Right, from thumb 1 to thumb 3. And that's all that character has, is a thumb. I'm pretty sure his hand's always closed and his thumb just laps over the thing there. Matter of fact, when I go in here to left thumb, hand L, left thumb, thumb 3, index finger. So you could map these other mappings in here and see if that helps to get these things to close the hand. But what you would have to do is you'd have to go in and say, like, for example, if I have the left thumb, come over here where it says left thumb, and I could go index finger left, and then the chain, right click and just say new retarget chain, just called left index, and then just add that chain. And it'll show the range that I put in there. Right? Index finger. And same thing for the finger 1 that's on this character. I can go to finger 1 to finger 4, right click, new retarget chain, and add that chain. And now I'm going to have a left new retarget. So really this should have been left finger. I don't know why I called it that. Sometimes this does quirky stuff. The left finger, not funger, finger. And same thing with the right side of the body. I could do a right retarget chain there. I could do a right index. And over here with finger, do retarget chain there, and just call it right finger. Add that chain. And it might improve some of the way that this is going to get set up. But you'd also have to retarget the animations with using, again, broadcasting whatever the movement is to that one thumb that's wrapped into the hands. The other thing you could do is you could go into the animation for that base pose. I believe if I went to the Polygon characters, excuse me, for the RT. I'm sorry, I'm tired. For the RT anims. And I went in here and said, and you'd have to do this for every one of these guys. You'd go in and get the, let's see, anim for the axe. Here's the axe swing near. Axe male anim sword. I don't know why it says that. Oh, axe swing. Let's look for everything in here that says axe. So there's 3 animations. I don't know why that's set up that way. There's the overall thing, but what you could do, if you're really, really worried about this, you could take this guy's hand and you could identify these bones on the skeleton tree. So this is his right hand. On the right hand side, I mean, the hand right. And he's got a finger here that you could go up here. That's at finger 1. I think if you go out to like finger 4, yeah, it just rotates that little tip point. So we go back to finger 3. That'll let me bend finger 3 all the way down, or however far I wanted to go with it. If I wanted to, I could close his hand with that finger 3, and I could put a curve in here to drive that behavior for that thing and mark it. And then for the same thing with his index finger, I could find his index finger and go down to like the 3rd or 2nd bone on here and twist that around the sword also. And then you just preserve these into their settings so that whenever he's holding the sword, he's got his hand gripped around it and it looks more natural. Again, I think you'd have to put that in there with a curve. Add curve for, if you do it for each bone. Yeah, you could do it for, let's say index in there somewhere. No, it does not say that. So that must be because he doesn't have that bone on his hand. But if I save this, I think it'll revert right back when I hit play. I think you'll still have that hand open. Yeah, because we didn't promote that anything to actually force it. There's a way though to go and modify. Like I said, the source items are, you could put them down in there and put them on a. You can add a timeline or whatever to the animation blueprint. Or curve rather, which would drive the behaviors of his thumb. Or his index finger or finger would, and you could move that and then store the keyframe so it animates that way the whole time. I'm not going to worry too much about that, in this particular thing. That's something that you could easily research out on the outside. But what I was showing you earlier is now that I've done that, of course, if he has any other weapons, I'm going to have to do the same thing. So on the gameplay ability that we did here, by changing out the montage to play, we can do the same thing on any other GA thing here. So if I go back and get the get that result set, rather, it should be out here in this folder. Yeah, out here. And it was under the animation override there for that blueprint. Hold on. I guess we'll have to experiment and figure out where these other sockets are at. I'll do that offline. I don't want to tie you guys up with that. But what I do want to tie you up with is that we now need to also go through and find the other montages and attacks and stuff that have to be updated. So go back up here to the player abilities up here. So that was the one for the axe melee. That's a gameplay ability. These should be okay. They should all be tied into that. And then we want to do the same thing for sword. And there should be a GA player sword melee. And again, we're going to switch this out with the AM attack sword. So I'll go to the AM attack sword that's on the Polygon dungeon character skeleton. Should go on that one. Right here for the AM attack sword. We already have that one. So it's just going to be a matter of going through each of these and swapping out any of the animations that are required for the gameplay ability versions. And now that we know that that's called gameplay ability, we can go GA underscore and narrow those down. And then we'll be able to go through each one of these and fix like the one for the axe, the one for the hammer, the one for the fireball, so on and so forth, and make sure that these are all working. Okay, we can also further narrow these down by GA player, which will get us into just the ones that are for them. So we did the one for the axe. That's our skeleton there. We'll go back. We'll do the one for the hammer, which is to the skeleton. Hard to see these. I think you can go in here and say thumbnail size. Make these a little bit larger. Too much did it. Thumbnail size. Let's do huge. It's still pretty small. But anyway, for the attack hammer, that looks like the skeleton knight there. You can see it actually in the Polygon Dungeons RT Anim, so that should be the right character. And let's attack hammer, compile, the fireball. That's Elven. This should be the one for the knight. I just clicked on the one that was above it. Fire wave. Skeleton knight there. Meteor. Knight. And storm on the skeleton knight. And sword melee. Already fixed that sword. Be on the. Alright, so that's what we would have to do for those. The gameplay abilities typically have the montages embedded in them. I think the effects are probably okay. I don't think there's anything in the effect except for the settings, for how much damage it does and what tags it flips on and all that kind of stuff. I don't think there's anything in there animation-wise. So, if that's cool, we should be able to go in here now, and, everything that we have should work. And I think there's a thing in here where we can just pick, I'm going to hit the backspace key and put this on autoplay. Let him go through all of his stuff, see if he has any animation issues. And I'm going to turn the volume down just in case. I don't ever remember if this is so loud that you guys can't hear me when I'm talking, so just turn it down so you don't have to worry about that. It looks like he's playing pretty good. No obvious issues that I see other than, again, the alignment of his hands, which I will take a look at offline. I don't want to bore you guys while I click through 1,000 different menus there. I don't know what that last one was there, where he skidded across the ground. We'll have to check into that and see if it happens again, then we'll trace it down. But I think for the most part, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. And that would just be a good spot for us to call this night on the video. We made some pretty good progress there. We got our character retargeted here and talking about a couple different options for that. So I'm going to wrap this up, put it up on the internet there, and then we'll go to the next video pretty soon. Next one, we'll probably talk about how to retarget some of the enemy characters or whatever, or we'll look a little bit more at fixing some of the animation issues with the hands and the positioning of the weapons and all that kind of stuff, just clean it up a little bit. All right, thanks for watching. You guys have a great night, and we'll catch you in an upcoming video. Take care.